Hey everyone, you're tuned into InfoQuench with Jeff.
And Amy. Join us as we talk about anything.
And everything.
All the stuff that makes life interesting.
So let's get to it. Hey everybody, and welcome to InfoQuench. I'm your host, Jeff.
And I'm Amy. In this episode, we're going to be talking about spring fever.
Spring fever.
Is it real? Is it not? Well, it's real, according to the National Institute of Mental Health, that is. They say spring fever is very real. It's driven by the body's reaction to its changing environment, a reaction to the increased amount of spring sunlight.
It's funny because I was going for a walk yesterday, or maybe it was a couple of days ago, but I saw some like kids graffiti on the side of a building that said "woohoo."
That's how I feel about spring.
And I instantly thought, oh, this is some kid that's just happy that spring's here. So I took a picture of it. You can go to my McLennan_photos on Instagram and take, is it photo or photos? Try them both and you'll see. I don't know. Anyways, I you know me and my tirades and my, asides. We're fast approaching our 100th episode, loyal listeners.
I know, episode 100 is just around the corner.
Isn't that something?
That is exciting.
And we have some, some sprightly little spring cleanup surprises for people on our podcast.
Sprightly, eh?
I don't know. I don't know how that word came to me, but
I'm watching Jeff. He's trying to be as still as a statue because
every time I move,
he has the squeakiest chair. And I offered to change chairs, but he won't change
do
because
it.
he knows that his is more comfortable.
It's way more comfy.
I'm in the rigid chair, but mine doesn't squeak and I can move all I want.
So I pretty much have to be a statue.
Yes.
Otherwise, you'll hear this. I just had to do it once.
Yes. Only the once, or you'll get the
I moved
the
an
death
inch,
stare.
people. An inch. Okay.
So, yes, the change in seasons brings better moods and a better climate for romance.
Yes.
I looked up a few different quotes around spring, and I thought Mark Twain describes it perfectly. He says, it's a spring fever. That is what the name of it is. And when you've got it, you want to, you don't quite know what it is you do want.
You want more cowbell.
But it is just fairly makes your heart ache. You want it so.
Oh,
so there's that
interesting.
feeling of restlessness or listlessness
Well,
that
you just
people
went through
associate.
often treacherous winter, and spring is just ready to be had.
And I think this spring is exceptional because for us, the world has been in a pandemic for a year, and it feels in a way almost as though a year of winter has gone by.
Yeah.
In terms of people hibernating. And so I feel like this spring is even more spring feverish.
Yeah, I would have to
than
agree
past
with
springs because we're starting to see vaccinations roll out and there's hope in the air and so
People just want to get on with it when it comes to spring. I mean, everything's
let's just get on
growing
with
again, and they just want to get on with life again. Wear like a sweater rather than like bundled up in a parka. If you don't have it on, you die.
It's not all positive though. I mean, there are some people who do get
die of exposure.
What?
Well, I was just saying, if we didn't have winter coats, that's it. We would be done as Canadians.
That's true.
They save our lives.
They do.
We live in a climate that would literally kill us if we went outside without a jacket on.
Well, that's true in exceptionally hot climates too.
I don't know if you'd want to wear a jacket in a hot climate, but
I don't know what this has to do with spring fever, but Jeff gets a little irritable this time of year. And do you want to tell them about your little grocery store rage that you had?
I don't remember the grocery store rage
with the shopping cart.
Oh yeah, that was just this fella that had his.
Oh, he's a fella. This time you tell the story.
What did I call him last time?
Well, it's not one we can repeat.
That's why I called him a fella.
We want to maintain our clean rating.
That's why I called him a fella, honey. He was one of those shoppers that leaves his cart right in the middle of the aisle and then just runs and gets what he needs and then puts it into his cart because he doesn't want to take his cart to where his item is. And I came upon this cart for the second time. This is the second time this guy did this to me. And this time, this woman happened to be there as well.
The second time in the same grocery trip?
In the same grocery trip, yes. This is the second time he did it. The other time I had a lot of, room to go buy him and stuff, and so I did. But anyways, the second time, there's this woman that was next to me, and she's like, oh, what the? Come on. And that's what she said. And then I was like...
So you both stood there hating him together?
Yeah, I looked at her, and I made this face, and then I just rammed my cart through his and just kept going. Like he wasn't even around to see it happen, but I was just like, that
Did it make you feel good?
It did feel really good, actually. Because I just, it doesn't.
So he had it like crossways, you couldn't get around it?
Couldn't get around it.
See, I don't even know what's going through someone's mind when they do that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
They deserve to get their cart smashed.
Yeah, I didn't ruin any of his like eggs or anything like that, because by then he hadn't made it to the egg section, because I know where it is.
Well, and that would only punish the grocery store, because he would just not buy the eggs.
That's right.
Well.
And they'd have to clean up the eggs, and that wouldn't be fun.
Yeah, that was a very good planned outrage session at the grocery store.
It's very unlike me, but I could have just gently moved his cart, but that just wasn't as rock and roll as just smashing into it.
This is why I can't go grocery shopping. Yeah. Not a lot of things make me angry, but grocery shopping definitely irritates me.
Yeah. And those who know me know that I'm like a super chill guy, but I don't know why. 2 times in a row in like less than 5 minutes, this guy blocked me. I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm smashing. I played enough Smash Mario or whatever to know what to do here.
Smash Mario.
Whatever it's called.
The lesser known Mario
Smash
game.
and grab Mario.
So in this episode, we're going to go over just some quick historical information around spring fever that I found interesting.
I didn't know there was any historical information on spring fever.
Well, there is. There's historical information on just about everything.
You're quenching my info on spring, all about spring.
That's right.
Yeah.
Spring fever, to be specific.
Spring fever.
Then we're going to run through a list of symptoms so that you can find out. It's nice to just deviate from our list of COVID symptoms that we're all familiar with, and we'll go into spring fever symptoms.
All right.
And then finally, we'll wrap
Sounds
up
good.
with some spring to-do items, courtesy of the Farmer's Almanac.
Oh.
So if you got spring fever, you want to stick around to the end to hear the awesome to-do list.
You stick around to the end to know when to plant your onions.
So in history, in terms of history, in centuries past, they actually referred to spring fever it was a literal illness.
Oh,
so
people get sick?
Yeah, people would often be suffering from scurvy by the time
Oh.
spring rolled around because of a deficiency of vitamin C, not having fresh fruits and vegetables over the winter.
Oh, wow.
Malaria tended to run rampant in certain areas in the springtime.
Tuberculosis, sclerosis. However you say that.
TB.
TB.
I don't know if that had anything to do with spring, but anyways, malaria is associated
various
with mosquitoes.
venereal diseases. I mean, probably everything was rampant in the spring. I mean,
That goes with the romance, I guess.
Goes with the romance.
No, but malaria, a lot of the symptoms cause listlessness, so it would give that restless feeling. And so spring fevers really became, and this is a new word for me, an autoantonym.
Autoantonym.
It's a word that has multiple meanings, one the opposite of another. So for some people, spring fever is something very positive. They might be energized. Other people might feel a bit tired
Sluggish,
or depressed. Yeah. Other people are elated. Some people are really eager to get out and engage with the world. Other people are a bit groggy from a winter of hibernation.
Yeah. You ever notice that it's spring fever, and then in the winter, it's the winter blahs?
Right, or the winter blues.
I'm suffering from the winter blahs, or the blues, yeah.
But
anyway.
I mean, fever, well, I guess there's Saturday night fever, but fever traditionally isn't a positive thing.
Right.
But I've never thought of spring fever as anything but positive.
Right.
It's, it's when...
It's when people want to get on with it.
Yeah, things are growing. It's a time of renewal, rebirth, all that
time
stuff.
to plan trips if it wasn't a pandemic, things like that.
So the phrase spring fever is thought to have first appeared in North America in the 1850s. And back then it meant a listless feeling caused by the sudden increase of temperature in spring. And the American agriculturalist called spring fever a feeling of discontent when neither body or mind are at ease.
Wow.
And the Christian Union actually suggested cures.
And what were these cures?
On rising, sponge the body lightly and quickly with cold water, briskly, toweling after. Rehabilitated, you are now ready for your morning bitters, namely, the clear juice of a fresh lemon in a wine glass of water, without sugar.
What? Who's going to do that?
Well, they didn't have a lot going on in the 1800s.
And it's not cold water, it's hot water, and it's a shower, not a sponge. I mean, I don't
know. Maybe the Christian Union was onto something. There's a lot of research now that says a brisk, cold morning shower does a lot of good for the body.
Would you say that generally, in the days of old, people bathed less? Would you say that?
Well,
It sounds
Yes,
like
I
they're
would
using
say-
sponges. So,
well, they didn't have indoor plumbing,
right. So they have to use sponges.
and they'd often have to share the same tub of water.
And
if they had multiple, obviously they had
Right.
or larger families back then.
Yeah.
I would say obviously usually, and so siblings would have to share the same tub of bath water because it would so much to fill it up and heat it up that it would take a
And then they didn't have sewage, so that they would throw it out the window.
right.
Wow.
Didn't have a sewer system back then.
That is spring fever if I ever heard of it.
Right, so it was probably stinky around. So, in 1893, Common Sense Health notes advised people to keep on wearing your flannels in order to avoid the disease.
Oh my goodness.
I like that. I like that
Well,
a little
yeah, of
better
course
than
you do,
the
'cause
cold sponging
you're always
and lemon
cold.
water.
You want the flannels because you're always cold. That's your
true.
antidote for the winter blahs.
You know, the lemon juice
Flannel
component
sheets.
of the Christian Union thing, that there's something to that too. I mean, there's a lot of suggestions, a lot of recommendations to drink a little bit of lemon juice first thing in the morning with some
Yeah.
water to clean out the system. So, and yet another suggestion for the best cure for spring fever is just to loaf in the sun or go fishing.
Loaf in the sun?
Yes.
Like a loaf of bread?
When I
like
first
this-
read it, I thought that's what I thought. I thought it was going to be like, eat a loaf of bread. I'm like, I'm on
Right.
it. Putting on my flannels
I'm
and eating
on
a
it.
loaf of bread.
There.
No, it just means lounge.
That's
to
one way
loaf,
to-
lounge in the sun.
Kick that spring fever to the curb.
So let's fast forward to modern times. So
Okay, modern time.
most people,
Just fast forward it.
I know that sounded very much like a Scooby Doo rewind, but it
Oh,
was
yeah.
a Jeff McLennan.
I would have
fast
got away
forward.
with it too if it weren't for you kids. You meddling kids.
So, and the other cure for spring fever is, of course, more.
More cowbell.
That's right, more cowbell.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
More
Christopher
cowbell.
Walken always knew what was going on with spring, man. It's always you just walk around. It's just hundreds of people walking around when the winter's over with cowbells, just banging them.
Now we're in current times. People do definitely associate spring fever now with energy, more energy, and as a result of the exposure to sunlight. Sun comes up earlier, days are longer, and this actually causes changes to the levels of melatonin in your body, and it can improve moods and increase energy levels.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about symptoms.
Symptoms of spring fever
That's right.
that you have
So
spring fever.
how do you know you've got that spring fever?
You
Thrive-
find yourself waking up in the morning and washing yourself with a sponge.
Well-
I think that's how you would know you have spring fever.
ThriveWorks.com talks about having romance on the brain. So some say thoughts of romance occur because people are wearing less clothes. So a lot of people say that sunlight can also increase the release of endorphins, which places people in better moods and increases physical attraction.
I got a fever.
Gosh, we might actually have to start editing.
Oh no, we're
Yeah.
good. We're good.
All right. Surge of
People-
energy is another symptom. So we talked a little bit about this, and you get an extra dose of vitamin D from the sun, and a lot of people start to get out there. They want to go for walks, go for a jog during their lunch hour or after work. Some people actually visualize their bodies springing to life after winter, and they just generally have an
doesn't?
urge to move more.
I do it all. I do that all the time. Actually, what did I just start doing this spring after not doing it all winter?
You mean after you bought all that winter running gear?
Yeah, I didn't buy much. I bought a pair of pants. That's it.
And a hat and gloves.
I wore
and
the
a
hat.
jacket
The gloves I
and
wore
winter
too.
running sneakers.
No, I didn't. I didn't buy winter running sneakers.
Really?
No, I did not. I will not say that I bought winter running sneakers.
I don't know. I think you did.
I bought hikers for like hiking, but no, you can't run in those things. You can't. No. They're for hiking. They say hiking right on them. You can't run in them. Try running. They'll just like sputter out.
All right. Well, I'll leave that to
I did
to
buy
your-
other stuff though to run, and I have gone on 3 runs now so far, so it's not so bad.
No,
I'm
it's all
starting
good.
to get back to it.
No, it's that's what it's all about. We hibernate in the winter. We get back to her in spring.
That's right.
Eating lighter. A lot of people will start to crave more fresh fruits and vegetables as spring rolls around, and for a lot of people, it's harder to get that stuff even now in modern times because it's just more expensive in the winter.
It
So
is.
you start to see more fresh
Out of
produce
season.
around at a reasonable price, and it's just better time of year to be able to eat a little bit lighter, a little bit healthier.
I find that in the spring as well, people just, they're preparing for the summer. They're like, like I said earlier, they're going to prepare where they're going to go on a trip, or how they're going to plant their garden, or things that they want to do in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, another one of the symptoms is to make a spring bucket list. And a lot of that is just, deciding what you're going to do once the snow is melted. Maybe you have, plans for your summer vacation and you start
Right.
making, I hear a lot of people talking about booking things, booking, cottages, and not a
Yeah.
lot of traveling happening yet, but people are still planning, thinking forward and getting excited about the warmer weather. So definitely another thing that goes on with spring.
Do you have a spring bucket list? If you do, I didn't know that about you.
What
Do you have a
do you mean? Do I have a list posted somewhere?
Yeah, or do you have one written down?
I think
like a
mentally
spring-
I have different things that I like to do in the
Oh.
springtime.
What are some of the things that you like to do?
Well, first
I'm
I like
just curious.
to go through this list of symptoms from thriveworks.com
Okay, all right.
before we get near the end of this podcast.
Okay, what? Oh yeah, okay.
You are,
I'm just curious. I just like, what is on one's spring fever
well, we're gonna
bucket
talk a
list?
little bit about that.
Okay.
People tend to sleep less. That's another symptom. So
Or more.
extra sunlight produces less melatonin. And yeah, the sun's up more. I know kids have a harder time going to sleep. They often use that excuse. They're like, the sun's still up. Why do I have to go to bed?
I did.
Yeah, me too. It's normal. And of course, mood brightens. You mentioned the winter blues. So you sort of get pulled out of that. And
Yeah.
people are happier. They're smiling more. They're feeling more sociable.
Their seasonal affective disorder dissipates as they get more.
Well, that's right. If people suffer from SAD, then,
Yeah.
oftentimes spring is when it lifts. People will a lot of times become obsessed with cleaning. This is, they have an urge to clean, to declutter.
We decluttered today.
And while it's probably not related to any sort of biology, this urge to clean, some people may be subconsciously thinking it's just a time to wash away the winter.
Yeah. You know what would be amazing is if we did a podcast and you just completely ignored everything that I said.
Did you think I was just ignoring you then?
Yeah, I know you were. I know my wife. But the thing is I think that would be really funny because I just think that would be really funny.
We've kind of been doing it
if
for
you
97 episodes.
I know. You kind of have. Oh, boy.
No, not at all. I'm always listening to what you say, even when you're talking about romance in the middle of a podcast.
Yeah. I just wanted to get it all on tape,
Yeah. It's spring. It's spring. We actually today finally got these bags of donations and things out of our house. So back in February, you may
Who
recall,
spearheaded that?
You did.
Yeah.
After you overheard me talking to my mother on the phone and saying how I wondered if those bags will ever get out of our house.
I never heard you say that.
Oh,
as
really?
God is
Perhaps
my
you
witness.
subconsciously heard me say that.
I don't know, maybe.
How they were so back. I don't know if anybody recalls, but back in February, as part of one of our mini resolutions, you can switch back to old episodes of mini resolutions to get other ideas. But one of them was just around decluttering. We did a challenge. We did it for the first 10 days of February, where basically on the first day we each, so Jeff, myself, and our son Huxley, we each had to pick out one item to get out of our house,
Right.
essentially, to donate, recycle, or if it was just pure garbage. And then on day 2, we each had to pick 2 items. You're supposed to do this for the whole month, but we decided to do it for just 10 days because that was still, I think, around 55 items each, which
Yeah.
was significant. I think I'm the only one who actually found that many items. Although near the end, what we ended up doing is just sort of having a massive decluttering session.
Put it all in bags for months.
So Jeff
just
got rid of
watched
a
it.
ton of CDs. He caught up on his number of items.
We watched it go nowhere
We bagged it and boxed it, and basically it took up half a room for
every day.
Yeah,
We saw it.
it wasn't for months. I mean, that was in
No.
February. It only took us a month and a half to. Usually, I get it out to the trunk and then
True.
drive around with it for a few weeks. But we made the.
We just We just did like the trips.
And then we
Yeah.
called around and realized a few of the places we wanted to donate to. So we divided our things up. There were some things that, we
We're trying
wanted
our
to donate
best.
to a local hospice shop that
Yeah.
they can sell things for. So they only want new or gently used. So we had to sort things out a bit. And we called around, and most of the places we wanted to donate to closed at 5. So we pretty much left the house around 4.
Yeah, we had an hour to go to all these different places. All
We
over
got
the
her done,
city.
though.
We did. We get it. We got it done.
got it
And
done.
we're trying our best not to give everything, to just dump everything at Value Village because they're just, I don't know.
Well, I like to put things where they can best be used, where they,
Yeah.
can be add the most value. But I mean, at the very least, if you can keeping them out of the landfill or out of your garbage bag, that's
hopefully, yeah.
whatever, so I encourage you, if you are doing some decluttering this spring, to check around in your own community to find out where it's best placed.
Right.
We have a local children's charity so we, anything that was gently used children's clothing, we designated for that. And yeah, it sometimes just takes an extra few minutes to sort it out and make sure it gets to the best people who can
It's all
benefit the
done.
most. So we'll continue going through this list of symptoms and just, see if you fit any of these. See if any of these are indicative of your own spring fever. Some people take on new hobbies. So a lot of people like to grow. When you think of spring from a growth perspective, they want to grow from a personal development perspective. So other times people will take on hobbies just as an excuse to get outside. Or even if you're just, taking up more reading or deciding to do more writing, you can get outside and do those. Go
Or
sit
running.
outside on a bench.
Yes.
Or running.
Yeah.
Or running would be one. Claustrophobia. Some people start to feel claustrophobic in the spring.
Or practicing the cowbell.
They want to... this is where I practice ignoring.
I know. You're doing a good job.
Where people draw back
You're
curtains.
getting better at it.
And they, they want to open windows. They're just...
They want to wash the floors.
Kids want to play hooky from school.
Yeah. That's one thing I never did. Did you? Did you ever play hooky from school much? Out of curiosity?
I don't know. Are my parents listening? No. I mean,
What?
I
You
always
think that
liked-
they would reprimand you now?
No.
You've got a
I
kid?
was sort of kidding.
Okay. I thought you were serious.
No.
I don't know. Are my parents listening? Can you imagine? Yeah. So you're grounded?
I heard your podcast, honey, and I know you're in your 40s, but you're grounded now.
Yeah. You don't
No.
have to answer that. I know.
No. I think there was probably 1 or 2 days, but my parents actually fully knew. I would just tell them. I'd be like, it's really nice out, but I would only want to do it if other friends were doing it because I
Right.
really like school. I like socializing.
Yes.
And if our son Huxley is listening to this in the future, I don't ditch school. We'll catch you.
Yeah, we'll catch you.
Yeah. It's funny how there's different names. We used to call it cuffing.
Yeah, we used to call it cuffing too.
I don't know if that's a Canadian
jigging.
thing
I
or
think
just a maritime thing or
Yeah. Who knows?
inability to focus is another symptom.
Well, looks like we got spring fever.
People have trouble focusing on projects during meetings or even trying to study for exams. I remember trying to study for exams in university in April and it was brutal. You were
Yeah.
excited. You were excited for the warm weather and people were getting outside and nobody wanted to be in a library studying. So
Yeah, it makes sense.
let's talk about Farmer's Almanac and what they suggest are their top 5 items for...
What?
To
Who are
doing.
these farmers and how do they know what's going on? Come on.
I don't know. Everybody always trusts the Farmer's Almanac. They
Why?
are predicting the weather. They're predicting the growing
Farmers.
cycles. They know what they're talking about.
I know we come from agrarian history, but they don't have all the answers.
Well, they're an interesting... I always loved when you would actually get the book, the
They
Farmer's
had those
Almanac.
charts in the back. Oh, it'll be sunny on March 23rd
Oh, I
at
know.
4 p.m. So plant your onions then. It's before the clouds come in 2 hours later. It's like, come on.
They're pretty good.
They're not soothsayers.
They're pretty good.
All
What?
right.
Soothsayers?
Yeah, soothsayers.
Oh.
You
What
know.
say sooth?
Let's say a sooth. All right, so okay, let's hear what these farmers have
I
to
love
say.
this first one. Take down all your winter/Christmas decorations.
See, I told you they have no idea what's going on.
They said they should.
Nothing against farmers.
They said
but-
they should all be down, but many areas had a rough winter this year. So get outside and get them down. It will help you feel better.
Take a walk around the South End and realize how many households have no idea that some of these celebrations even end. There's Christmas decorations up over.
That happens everywhere.
There's like little Santas in
I grew up out in the
windows
country, and
stuff.
people would leave their Christmas lights up on their house all year round, which was efficient, I guess. They wouldn't turn them on. That would be inefficient, but they didn't have to get up and take them down and put
It
them back up
truly
again.
makes sense. If you don't want to take them down, you can just leave them up. But the thing is usually people don't light them up throughout the summer.
No.
But I bet you they do here.
There's some places that do. Yeah, there's some places that do.
Yeah, I suppose.
There's times too when there was like power shortages and such, and you weren't allowed to put Christmas lights
I think
on.
I'm turning into a cranky old guy.
You're a bit cranky.
I'm not really cranky, am I?
Sometimes people don't notice the decorations. That's what I think, because it's like, when you walk by something all the time, you just stop noticing it. I think that happens. I think they don't notice that there's a rotting pumpkin on their stoop.
When are they just going to cancel Christmas altogether, though? Is that cranky? Just joking.
Never. That'll never happen. The second thing the Farmer's Almanac says is that if the sun is shining, open the shades and curtains. So I did talk about this, to sort of get rid of that claustrophobic feeling. And if it's warm enough, open a few windows and let that fresh air in.
What's this got to do with farming?
It doesn't have anything to do with farming.
It's
Are you even paying attention?
Farmer's Almanac.
Well, they're talking about spring and they're all about the seasons. And
these
the
are all, so far, honestly, these farmer recommendations are just common sense. Open the windows.
Well, I'm glad people tuned in to listen to our farmers' common sense.
Come on.
Number 3 is go on a picnic. Even if you can't go outside, have one in your living room. Make picnic goodies. Like
Why couldn't you have a picnic
and hot dogs, potato
outside
salad,
in the
and ice
spring?
cream.
Why couldn't you have a picnic outside in the
they're
spring?
just saying if it's still too early and cold. Like, for instance, today it was still below 0. So it's not really picnicking weather.
No.
Number 4 is to get outside. If you live in a warm area, get out there and enjoy the nice weather. Go for a walk.
Wow.
Rake some leaves. Just get outside.
It's good advice.
If you live in a cold area, bundle up and still get outside on the next nice day.
What do we always say?
Surprised how refreshing that clean, crisp air is.
What do we always say about going out in the spring, on a nice family hike? We always feel better afterwards.
We do.
And you too, you also will feel better, loyal listener.
Margaret Atwood said that in the spring, at the end of the day, you should smell like dirt.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that,
or fresh air.
I like that quote.
Because when I come in from a run,
she's talking about children and playing in the dirt, or people getting out in their gardens. And
when I come in from a run, you always say, "Oh, you smell like fresh air."
All 3 of those runs, you smelled of fresh air.
And I'm going to run with a cowbell next time.
This last one, the 5th one, is quite fitting for the farmers. They say you should map out a garden.
Okay, so now they're making sense.
Are you happy now?
Now they're making sense.
You feeling like it's enough on the farmer theme?
Yes.
They are on topic, on brand. Even if it's a window box, take some time to plan what you're going to plant and when. Herbs, flowers, tomatoes. You can get your seedlings started. And those are just a few plants that would be good to try, but you can start doing your research.
Nothing about romance, though. Nothing from the farmers when it comes to romance.
No, they're too busy planting gardens.
They're too busy planting gardens.
Robin Williams said, "Spring is nature's way of saying, let's party."
It's true. Let's
and
party.
The Beatles said, "Here comes the sun."
Here comes the sun.
And I say, it's all right.
It's all... Wow. You
all
spoke
right,
that
all
like
right.
a Rhodes Scholar. And I say, all right, all right, all right.
I don't know how we got through that one.
You know what? People love our asides. They love our deviations.
Do they?
I hope so. Maybe they're like, okay, this one, Jeff is going a little nuts.
If they don't, they've already long tuned out, so we're good.
With the shortcuts and the,
and the romance.
And the romance. I just like putting you on the spot. You know that, right?
Oh, I know. You say things just to watch my reaction.
You went red when I said that, and that's just the way it is with you. It matched your hair.
That's why I love you.
I know.
I don't need spring.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yes.
Happy spring.
Hopefully we didn't deviate from the main topic too much. Let us know, because if I did, then I will stop doing it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.
And remember, you can catch up on past episodes at infoquench.com.
Or just about anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
And help spread the word about InfoQuench.
Till next time.